Oh, I'm not here. Hold on. I am invisible. There I am. Hey, everybody. Or am I frozen now? Okay. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Unreal Engine 5 game development live stream where we're back in our Deck Knight project, a game built from scratch using Unreal Engine 5, C++, blueprints, the gameplay ability system plugin, and all of that good stuff. So today, we're going to continue what we've been doing. We're working on our hard logic based off a template we got off of Fab, but now we're kind of making it our own, bringing it into our fold, into our own. And what I want to do, there's this one problem with how they kind of stack and scale with each other. So if I add a bunch of cards, there's going to be a point where they'll go off screen, and there's going to be a point where I don't want to have so many cards that the player can have anyway, but I do want to try to balance out how they kind of behave based on the total number and how much space they have. So for example, say I have like 4 total cards, right? Maybe for these 4 cards, they could be spread out like this, right? Maybe like 0.8 or something. Or even 1. Maybe something like that, right? And then as I'm adding more cards, they shrink in for more room, right? So add another card, shrink in, add, shrink, add, shrink, add. Basically try to encapsulate it all within a given space, and then we'll find some maximum, because I want the number of cards you can have in your hand to be kind of clamped to like some attribute that you would be able to modify per run to improve it. But maybe there'll be some cards that will just add some more cards into your hand regardless of that, so we would want to try to find something that works well. So I have to find some potential, ratio, I guess, to the number of cards. So I kind of want to add some stuff to my debug. I want to add a remove button. So I'll need to do that in code, because there is a add card button somewhere. Because I don't know what it calls exactly. Is it called add card to hand? So we'll make another one called remove. I gotta write this correctly. Let's make it a U function. Blueprint callable. I want to make a function that lets me remove a card. I also want to have a in my IM GUI that displays the number, just so I can get an idea of some ratios. So yeah, remove card from hand. I don't know if we want to do it with a template really. For now, I'll leave it like that, and I'll just assume I want to remove the last one. Let's just write it like that. So generate, then we're going to say if so seems there. Does it pop? I forget what one that does. Pops an element from an array. We'll see what happens, I guess, right? So now let's go into the debug UI. We'll have to make a button. Debugging, interface panels. And you are the debug. So I should be able to just add a button pretty simply. Say remove card. Should be enough. But let's also We'll have to just display text, I guess. Could be underneath the if, or I could just display text, right? So it's the same line. Is there just text? So I'm not sure how. I always forget how to write shit. I'm going so number cards. Okay. I mean, there's some examples in the damage events panel, I'm sure. Text. I'll have options. So yeah, something like this, right? Grab you. Well, let's do it like this, huh? Number of cards in hand. Wham bam. And now the name. Do I need that? What is this? I don't know if I need anything special. I think that might be enough. So let's take that out and that out. Then we do card hand. Hey, thanks for the subscription there, Sirius. Appreciate it. Soon? Is that not exposed? I'm looking for cards in that not a thing I have access to. So it's complaining member is inaccessible. I guess I could make a helper function, make that exposed, right? So new function, make blueprint callable as well. Return an int. Get cards in hand. Generate that. Turn that. Should be able to just get rid of all of that cards. I think that's gonna work. Also, it's asking us to download a new version of JetBrains Writer. Should I do it? Fuck it. We'll give us a chance to talk and hang out with the audience. How's everybody doing tonight for those watching? Hope you're having a good Thursday. Thursday means it's almost Friday, so hope you all have good plans coming up this weekend. But yeah, after the... Whoop, okay. We disappeared for a second. We're okay. Everyone's okay. We're currently working on this version of the mock-up. I think it can work well. There's also something like this that might work. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what the card language is really going to be. You know, is it really as like simple as this? I did find some interesting content on Fab. I haven't purchased it yet, but some icons and some card calligraphy and things like that. You know, I also like the idea of the cards being in the middle. I'm also nervous about the bottom of the screen just being too saturated with things, you know? Like, 7 still has a lot going on. 6 also, I think, has a lot of potential. Five, you know, a lot have built. There's a lot of potential. I like the idea of 5 and the position of 7. We'll just have to see what it kind of ends up feeling like. almost done installing. For those that don't know, we got a kitty in a basket here. I don't know if I can swing her around without disturbing her, but we'll try. Her name is Lola, and she's the best kitty ever. Isn't that right, Boo Boo? Alright. Cleaning up. We're almost done. Alright, cool. Yeah, after the stream, though, I'm probably going to play a little bit of Lives of P. Start jumping into that. So far, so good with that. I mean, it's very, like, a very similar formula to these other games, you know. Souls-likes, I suppose. You know, you have charges for health, you have these points that you need to, you know, these checkpoints and restore. I think it's kind of interesting that you can, like, the weapon durability is pretty involved so far. And you have to, like, kind of grind it into the arm in order to make it a stronger weapon at that point, or increase the durability. I think that's an interesting take. Hey, Ronak, how you doing? I'm doing good. How about yourself? Just for funsies, I decided to update Ryder. So we're slowly recovering from that. We'll let it slowly come back up online, and we'll see if our changes worked. We introduced a little bit more information in our IMGUI debug. We'll allow it to remove a card and also see how many cards we have in our hand. And then we'll start really fiddling around with minimum card spacing to see if we can somehow map it to some gradiency. So the more cards you have, the less space there are in between. Something that works well. Because maybe like from cards 1 through X, so 1 through 4 or something, it can have one spacing. And then from there, it spaces it down. Maybe. We'd have to see. We're gonna have to do some quick maths. So once Ryder comes back to life, we'll start with that. The music I'm listening to right now is actually pretty good. I don't know how well you guys can hear that. 2-hour synthwave, chillwave, and retrowave music mix. Summer of 1885. Not 1885. Summer of 1985. I wonder what kind of music people were listening to in 1885, honestly. Probably not that great. Project analysis enables smart features like refactoring and fine usages. You can still edit code. Cool beans. So I'm good, still learning many things. Currently learning behavior tree, making AI enemy, having trouble solving the problem I'm facing. In general, having fun. I think that's the most important thing, as long as you're having fun. There's always going to be those moments where you get slam your head against the wall. It happens to me all the time. Just take your time with some things. Reach out for help if you need it. A lot of good resources online there. I'm glad you're learning behavior tree. Personally, I'm using state tree. It's something I'm more familiar with. I never had to do AI development, but for this project, I'm going to have to if I'm going to do everything with it. But I'm pretty familiar with state tree and try to get better with AI design and behaviors. So right now it's indexing, so I should be able to get away with trying to compile this bad boy. And while we're loading the game for all the new people joining, I'll show you a build of the game. At least once a week I try to make a build. Just to make sure everything's still working. There's been so many times, oh, the cat is coming alive. Make sure she gets down, okay? Oh. Here's our game. We're adding cards, yeah. So basically, we can also spawn some dummy AI, but and more or less this is the project. What the goal is to have these cards, and you basically construct decks, and these cards grant you abilities, grant you passives, allow you to summon things, allow you to negate enemy effects, negate AI cards, and things like that. And so the goal is to basically balance live action combat with that upper layer strategy of deck building to make your character strong. Build a deck that makes sense for your character, construct it in a way that benefits you the most, that gives you a lot of defense, a lot of opportunity to negate things, and basically fight waves and waves of enemies, and kind of roguelike structure in that regard. And just have that element of deck building, card collecting, and stuff like that. So that's what we're working with. Here's the editor. So we're gonna open up things again. Let's close some of the stuff that we don't need. So yeah, let's see if our changes worked. So we did a couple of things. So we can open up our I am GUI and immediately get a crash. So that's fun. So we get the draw debug hub, and then draw panel, and then here. So it seems fine, right? I don't know why that doesn't like that. That's weird, but we accept it. We'll see what happens. Let's see if we just comment that out. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Let's look at some of our other here. So really, guess it's because, yeah, it's probably because of this. So let me see if I can correct this. So I'm gonna say battery. Plug my headphones in. Plugged into the matrix. So what am I looking to do? Get out of here, processes. I'm looking to do something like, I guess I could say f string. Say cat, fine. Was that all valid? Let's hand like that. Like, something tells me this is not correct. I'm not getting any sort of autocomplete or any highlighting. So let's see. I think all the folders you had made an engine scares me. Oh my god, so many data to handle and make. Yeah, I mean, it's not as bad once you are just doing it over time. Seeing it all at once, yeah, it's intimidating. But it's quite okay. How can I properly... Cat! Ah, ba, ba, ba. Santa's tags. Yeah, like, that's not valid, though. Blah, blah, blah. How do I want to read this? Because all the data that I'm converting is pretty much strings. Less. No, we don't like that. See if it's happy with that. Not going to disturb you anymore. Bye for now. Take care. No disturbing at all. Thank you for joining in. Enjoy your night. Hope to see you again soon. Okay. Compiled, so that's a start. Now let's see if it crashes. All right, let's try this again. Okay, awesome, doesn't crash. So it says base, so I was going to change that card in head, but add card, remove card. Awesome, great. So should be enough. See, next time I compile. And this card. Good. Yep. So I could, because minimum spacing is a thing, right? I could, in theory, on tick, say, hey, I guess I can call it, right? Get number card in hand. Is it greater than 5? So maybe minimum card spacing would be like 0.85 by default. So we add card. Nice. 2, 3, 4. See, like that could already be enough. So right, is it greater than or equal to 4? That's probably what I want. It's greater than 4. If it is, that's where we might want to potentially, because I'm curious how a mapping would look. The map range clamped, right? Do a setter of this. So I can't set it in Blueprint, so that's a problem. Go to the card hand. Let's go to minimum card spacing. So Blueprint, read, write. Let's compile that. We got Kitty again. Miss Independent, right? Ooh! Yo, what's up? My drum. Nice. What's good? What's good? Thanks for the raid. I appreciate it. How we doing? Sorry, my cat's being a little chaotic at the moment. Don't jump. Oh, God. How's everybody doing? Thank you so much for popping in. Oh, my God. Please. Oh, my. Please. Okay, hold on. You guys came at the worst time. Just kidding. She chose chaos today. Narrate Boo Boo. You can say hi to everybody. All right, if you're not going to be calm, cool, collected, you're leaving. All right, so what we're working on today for people just joining, our game has cards, and we're working on some updates to our IamGUI debug. So that we can add and remove cards, so we can see how they kind of display out. And we're just going to figure out a way to best orient and scale and have things kind of, I don't know what the word is, really spaced between each other, I guess. Just so there's as minimum overriding as possible. Kind of keep it consolidated, you know? So, we added all the debug things that I think we need for now, and we're just going to see how well we can kind of clamp and map this all out. So what made you want to use IamGUI instead of editor stuff? It's a combination of learning and a combination of we use IamGUI at work, so it's just something I'm used to. So I don't really want to create like editor tools and stuff, things I'm not, I know it's all blueprints, but things that I'm not necessarily like used to, I suppose. So it's just maybe either a combination of laziness and just a combination of wanting to do more stuff in code. I guess I could code editor utility tools and stuff like that too, but primarily the reason. And we have quite a bunch of IamGUI debugs that I think are super useful. Like we have all our attributes, and we can modify our attributes. We can see the base, the current, the deltas. We have our damage pipeline, which I'm pretty proud of. We can see all healing and all damage and damage types, and if you're the instigator or the target. I'm probably going to do a devlog about this one at some point. And then we have our card layout stuff, and then some other stuff that we don't really use just yet, but I put in there anyway. Hey, Trey Live. Watching from two places. Okay. Yeah, thanks for popping in on both. Much appreciated. Hey, so yeah, our goal now, I'm going to see how well I can do the spacing, right? So minimum spacing, I should be able to set that. If you haven't checked out the UE vlogger, that's what I use to debug my ECS stuff. Yeah, sometimes I use the visual logger. There's also the rewind debugger that I think is now hooked into State Tree now. You should be able to like kind of look at that stuff. I don't know. I forget what's in-house and what's actually possible. Should have a rewind debugger somewhere, right? I don't know why it's up there. Can I just open it? Yeah, it's kind of gross that it's docked up there, but you can undock it, put it on the bottom, and you can play, and you can record, and then you get a bunch of stuff for like animation. But then you also have things like State Tree that are hooked in, and you can also hook into stuff like the gameplay ability system and all that stuff. So it's a really cool tool that we also use that I always forget exists. So whenever I have to debug again, I have to like be like, oh right, I gotta do this. And then yeah, the State Tree has like a hook into that as well. So like, I think it's called player melee. Like my melee combo is a State Tree. So you go from state to state to state, and yeah, you have this message at the bottom saying you can record and visualize stuff in the Rewind debugger, so you can open the debugger, play, and then if I can gracefully move things over, should be able to start recording, get the instance, and then as I'm doing things, you'll see the attack melee 2, 3, 4, and then kind of going back to idle, and then I'm in the air, was the air attack, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's all pretty cool. And then I think, yeah, you can then scrub that as well through the state tree if you do the thing like that. It's pretty cool. Yeah, the state tree stuff at the beginning, when it comes to debug stuff, was gnarly. Or it didn't even exist. But a lot of the tools that we have at CDPR to help with state tree is wild. It's so good. It's IM GUI, by the way. But I think they did a lot of the stuff with the visual logger and the rewind debugger and stuff, because you don't understand how useful it is to be able to rewind and look at how the state tree executes, the conditions and all that stuff, all that data. It's crazy. But yeah, let's get back to the task at hand here. We're going to be setting the minimum card stuff whenever we have more than four or more cards. And so the in range and out range, don't know really what that's going to be. It's like the in range, like the out range is going to be between 0, or it could be between 0.05 and 0.85. And the in range is going to be, I suppose, I can get card width or something. No, I calculate card width somewhere else. It's in one of the example functions from the original template. So this is hand width and card width, right? Maybe I could do some sort of division, I hope. The state machines for animations, that's also pretty crazy stuff. Like, I tried to do motion matching, but I didn't feel like it was really necessary for the type of game I'm trying to make. Trying to make it more arcadey, I guess is the word. So it doesn't have to be anything too special, you know? As long as I can hit stuff, I can move, it's responsive, you know. That's what matters for me right now. I have to get a jump animation because right now there's no jump animation, but still. And so basically, when you use these cards, you grant yourself abilities that you can then activate, give yourself passes that will exude over time. You can summon, you can do instant effects, you can do a bunch of stuff that I'm hoping for. Yeah, the animations, they are from, like, almost all of the art is from Fab or some external resource. I'm just a gameplay designer and wannabe programmer. So that's where I'm currently, my wheelhouse is. So I'm thinking what the percentage number needs to be, right? Did I not paste some of this stuff? Okay. So hand width, card width, right? Yeah, power of 2. Like, all I really know is the scale and stuff. I don't know if it's also like the rule of thirds kind of thing, if that's a UI concept, or that's just photography or composition, but UI is pretty much composition. Be able to get card in hand. That's enough. So basically, this is the whole X that I have, right? So this is the total geometry that I'm working with. Now, if I don't think I need to save divide, but let's just save divide. If I divide it by this times get number of cards. This should give me some sort of number. Now let me on tick just print this out. Maybe it was the rule of thirds I was thinking of that, I understand. Hey! Thanks for the follow. Sovereign Dev. If you're the Sovereign Dev that I think you are, then bam. I used to watch your stuff all the time, man. Welcome. So yeah, we want to print this out. One thing, I had to show this to somebody at work today, but with print strings, you have this key. And what this key does is that it presents like entire screen spamming if you're printing something potentially on tick. So it'll just be the single line. Obviously you can't really see it, but it says 5 at the top. If I get rid of that key, I think you'll see, yeah, you see it spamming all over on this side. So I had to show somebody at work that today, so maybe more people want to know more about it. But yeah, we got the number of cards in hand, right? And we're safe dividing the total space and then divided by this. And then, I don't know, do I have to divide that by 1? Or divide 1 by that? I don't know. I'm just trying to see what fraction I have to do to really get the scale that I'm looking for. I'm getting 0.2, so that doesn't seem like it makes too much sense. Because it's 5, so that says I could fit 5 cards in that amount of space. It's more or less what it's saying. Assuming the minimum card spacing is at a certain value. So I'm wondering... maybe the range has to be... maybe I can... let's just take the safe divide again. Maybe this is the key of the mapping. So let me just... so yeah, it says 5. It says I could fit 5 cards in. And I don't think that's really subject to change. Maybe it will change as I'm adding stuff. Let's see. So let's get our GUI open, card hand, let's add a card. So now it's saying 2.5, 1.67, 1.25, 1, 0.83. So it is updating. So maybe the range has to be a little bit different. Let me just do it the opposite way. And then we'll go from... see what this looks like. Oh, got ourselves a bot. Let's get rid of it. Oh, well, are you using IamGUI in Unreal? I sure am. There's some GitHub. I always forget which GitHub repository has it, but yeah, you can add it. And, you know, once you know the syntax of IamGUI, which I still don't too well, but yeah, we have a couple of different things for, you know, GAS-specific stuff like gameplay attributes, where you can view attributes of all your characters in the world, and you can modify them at runtime if you wanted to. It's something that I thought was missing from GAS. You can't easily, like, obviously you can make gameplay effects that modify attributes, but at runtime, just for debug purposes, it doesn't come out of the box, which was weird. So I want to make sure I add that. So yeah, let's add some cards. So yeah, the card spacing doesn't seem to be updating where I thought it would. So let me also print out card spacing. So card spacing is not going to update until I get to a certain number of cards. Okay, now it is, but yeah, it jumps to 0.05. Okay, so the in range. Okay, so maybe minimum card spacing is not what I want to map it to. Maybe I want to map this. Let's do 4 on that. Sorry if you explain it, but what is IamGUI? So, Dear IamGUI is just, I guess, a plugin or a framework, whatever you want to call it, that just cheaply draws UI. It's primarily for debug purposes. It doesn't come native to Unreal, but you can install a plugin to get it to be in Unreal, and then you can create your debugs with it. But you know, they just let me see what they called it. I think they called it Slate UI. Slate UI is what they've always called it, but they had a recent talk. Yeah, Slate IM. For those interested, because yeah, Epic is aware of this. Like almost like all teams that use Unreal use IamGUI for debug. And so they have Slate IM, which is supposed to be their like internal solution for that. From the talk from this guy, from what I remember, he mentioned it's not as performant, but it's for debug tools anyway, so it doesn't necessarily have to be performant. But you know, do with it as you will. Yeah, I jumped pretty far in. So maybe I have to do... Maybe I just have to do number of cards. And we can range it from 4 to 20, 420, blaze it. And yeah, go from 0.85 to 0.05. Maybe that's a decent ratio. No. So like, like? I guess it comes to like, how many cards am I expecting to hold? So let's try 15. Because I feel like it can't be mapped correlated that way. Like you still don't see a lot of the cards on the end, you know. Like now it's becoming too much. Yeah, I mean, print string is always a go-to goated method of debugging stuff, but print string is more useful for when you need to know when something has happened, you know? Whereas some other debugs, you need to force certain scenarios, or you need to kind of track some things down that are in a deeper level than that. So, you know, for example, let me just spawn some dummies. I have my damage pipeline. Maybe I want to track only the damage that I've dealt. And then here's all the damage that I've kind of dealt, right? And I can look at it and I can see if it was critical, if it was over time. I can know who I damaged. I can see the hit result if I wanted to. Some fancy stuff that I don't know why I did, but you can draw the hit where it was in the world. You'll see the little red circle. You'll get the hit result information. I can also simulate that damage, so you'll see I'm just doing 3 damage to the dummy now. But because also simulated damage would count as damage, I can also filter out... I can filter out simulated damage. So yeah, I'll never see it, and I can just kind of kill him. So that kind of stuff I think is going to be useful. I don't know how useful it will be, but I know my game wants to... I want it to be a lot like Hades, so a lot of fast-paced damage output mechanics and a lot of stuff going on. So I want to be able to trace back, simulate things again, and just be like, oh, okay, I did this with this value. This is the result I got. What could be going on? Very cool. Is it easier than to set up UMG, but for the same purpose? Maybe I try to avoid UMG as much as possible, but you can. It just depends on what's also exposed. Because you have these things in UMG, you have, you know, text, you have scroll boxes, you have horizontal boxes and vertical boxes, blah, blah, blah. So you can architecturally and visually instruct the same thing, but it depends on how much data you have access to blueprint-wise. Also, you could do it in C++ and nativize into Blueprint. So it's more like a pick your poison kind of situation, I suppose. So I'm trying to figure out a correlation for how much spacing I really need. Because after a while, like this clamp is too, I guess, linear. Thanks for explaining stuff along the way. Really insightful. No problem. I'm glad you people are asking. I'm glad to talk about this stuff. I might get distracted too much and I'm trying to focus on some stuff, but, keep asking questions, all good. So yeah, this clamp range I feel to be too, I guess, linear, I suppose. Like, I wonder if I could have it follow some sort of curve where, like after 5, the minimum spacing is kind of bigger, and then it kind of tampers off into a minimum. I could do something dumb. It's not dumb if it works, right? But we could say like this, right? Say, 0.8 and then 0.75 or something. But there has to be some sort of curve or some sort of ratio connection to how many cards I have, how much spacing I want or can have. It's like I feel like there's a secret number somewhere, right? And that's the secret number I'm trying to find. So this is how much a card width is. And this is how much space I have. So this tells me how many cards I can fit. So once that goes over, I have to figure out some value. So do I have to... So total space divided by how much card equals spacing. That's what I would think. But spacing is not... Because like when you do that, for example. So like again, let's just print that on tick for the time being. So it's giving me 5 right now. And it's giving me 5 because it's the desired size. So like, I don't know, can I break point and it'll not crash? Yeah, it's gonna give me a crash. It doesn't like putting breakpoints on tick on, I guess on anything. So, lesson learned. Yeah, like, yeah, Hamster Chef Steam, awesome name, by the way. You're onto something. That's the mindset or the logic flow that I need to go for. But yeah, I just gotta figure out what that potential limit is. The golden ratio is hidden somewhere. And that's kind of what I was also trying to hope for with this IMGUI debug, to be able to like maybe help me figure out what this ratio is. We're definitely not going to figure it out tonight. I'll tell you that much. But at least we did something, right? So let's take out that breakpoint because we know that's going to literally break stuff. So yeah, we're getting this total space that we won't have. So maybe I have to... because this is going to be 1 times 1 card scale. So that's going to be... let me print out the scale. So it's 160. Then it's 320. Then it's 480. Then it's 640. Then it's 800. Then it's 960. So yeah, blah, blah, blah. So I gotta like brain blast. Maybe use power or exponent. I'm not sure why I would use power or exponent. But we can try. I don't know what numbers I'm gonna get, honestly. I'm not that mathy. Oh. I mean, maybe? I was getting some decent numbers, but... almost. Maybe the exponent needs to change. Almost. Maybe 1.1. I mean, hold on. Could it be? Yo, okay. I owe you a beer if I ever see you in person. But yeah, that's what I was hoping for. Honestly, I don't want you to ever have this many cards. But that's more or less what I want it to look like. And now you can kind of scroll through your cards and do stuff. I think that looks good. So now I want to maybe look at, I could die happy, honestly, but yeah, let's keep going. Let's ride this train. So I gotta figure out, I could probably do this in code. Because then we have to kind of do, I don't know, do we have to do we don't have to do any sort of opposite, do we? So I'm gonna add a bunch of cards. Then I'm gonna use a bunch of cards. Okay. Seems fine. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Now we're cooking. So let us go to the main HUD. I don't really want it living on the edge of the screen like that, because we'll get those cases where it will be on the edge of the screen. I don't know if it's gonna look good on other resis or resolutions. But we could try to see. So let's see. Yeah, so that looks good to me. So my general concern, again, like with this UI, like I fear that maybe it's if it's taking up too much screen space. If the card, like obviously the card text that we have right now, it's not very readable. I don't think I like this parallax scrolling content stuff that I got from Fab. There were some options that I saw on Fab that I wanted to work with for this prototype. I'll show you guys, get your opinions on it. It's in my cart. So there's this TCG card pack stuff. So I like having these cards, like these as the images of the cards. And then this template also gives like interesting layouts, and I kind of want to try. It's very Hearthstone-y. Maybe it is Hearthstone. I don't know. Could be a giant ripoff. But I want something that looks good and something I can use for the time being, just for this. Is that the stylized sky weather from Fab? It sure is. All the stylized assets and everything is from it's from Fab. It's from the So Stylized creator. Very Hearthstone and unfortunately very AI looking. It's definitely possible that it's AI. So I'll keep looking. Like the things I will be using, like potentially I could just use some of the border stuff that it has. But yeah, if there's no ratings either, so maybe it's sus. There's this other one, is Volume 3, which has a bunch of stuff. Volume 1, Volume 5. There's a lot. All right, there's a lot of volumes. Someone has here 1 star, well, 1 rating. That's 5 stars. Who knows how legit that is? This is the one that I got, the parallax scrolling thing, but it doesn't work too well in my opinion. Stylized card deck stuff, potentially. But again, I'm worried about, because these things are like meshes and stuff, and my stuff is very much UI driven. And yeah, so we would have to see. There's a roguelike deck builder. Yeah, that's just straight up Slay the Spire. Yeah, the parallax scrolling one. Yeah, that's the back of the card has some effect. I don't know how well you can see it on stream, but yeah. But yeah, this is just straight up Slay the Spire. Which, amazing game. One of my inspirations. But maybe for now, I should really just stick with placeholdery things. So, like, I don't give the wrong impression, I guess. We'd have to see. So I have a question about how you guys handle modular character skeletal meshes at work. Be able to answer. Even if I could, well, I don't know how to answer that. I don't want to get in trouble. Because I do work with animators on animation and everything for gameplay, but I don't know. I don't know how much I can say. So just to be safe. Hopefully I don't put my foot in my mouth. Okay, so we got the cards working. Again, big shout out to Hamster. I mean, there's probably some good, like I'm sure you can find some good assets on Fab as a resource, because like the character that I have, he's from a resource, and they have very modular aspects to it. Like you could swap out the hairpiece and the earrings and the cloth and the sword, and they could do like a female skeleton, a male skeleton, and they can image or change, and the animations are on the same skeleton. You're gonna replace the card arts later anyway, right? Yeah. Like, I don't know exactly how I want this all to work, because first I want to make the game fun, have a good vertical slice or whatever you want to call it, some demo, and then make it better later. Get, I don't know how much out-of-pocket stuff I'm gonna have to do and how much I can dedicate to the project and everything like that. For now, it's a learning experience, just going for it. But the complexity comes in when I have the different races and have different skeletal proportions, but should be able to wear the same armor. Yeah, that's true. Like, I guess there's gonna be a line in the sand you have to draw, though, right? Like this might be a dumb example or not even an example for the project, but like, you have a human armor, and then you have a race of centaurs or, bull men. That same armor piece can't really translate one-to-one onto this thing, no matter how you would have to really fuck it up in order to make it fit on that skeleton correctly. So like, there's gonna be cases where I think there's gonna have to be some assets that can be unique, like helmets possibly, but it really just it depends on what you want to try to make. Yeah, what you're saying makes a lot of sense. Like, because there's some games, I guess it's with like character editors and stuff like that, you can warp faces and warp body parts and stuff like that, and I guess you would do the same for armor pieces, but I'm sure there's a way to do it. I'm not gonna say there's not, but I'm not sure. So let's go to the actual card again. Let's forget everything we ever knew about anything. We can leave the vignette. That looks cool. But let's just make a basic card. And yeah, card name, and then text again. Padding. Text has to be black, right? Why not with a outline color? White for now, or maybe red. I don't know, yellow. Maybe no outline colors needed. I think that's enough. And so yeah, now we have our basic card, right? I'm gonna have to figure out a card design that makes sense, that looks nice, but for now, it's a prototype. So now we need to hook this back in to our card, or our deck component. Because yeah, at the very beginning in code, we are just constructing it based on our debug force number of cards. So let's not do that anymore. And instead, we're going to, should be able to, we're going to just force some stuff through blueprints here. So we're going to get player pawn. Yeah, get player owning pawn. But I can't remember if it's my pawn or my controller that has this component, or if it's the player state. Could be the player state. Yeah, our deck manager component has a bunch of these cards, right? So let's so this returns a pawn. Can I get the player state from the pawn? Yeah. Store that player state. And then we can get component class. deck manager. We'll move all this to code later. Beauty of blueprints, right? Let me scale this up a wee bit for you guys, just in case you want to see a little bit better. Because I know I'm broadcasting on widescreen resolution, just because my main monitor in front of me is widescreen, so hopefully it's not too bad for you guys. We have our deck manager. Now, we can do an is valid just to be cool. Then we should be able to get what? So active deck. Maybe it's not a good name for that variable, but whatever. Deck. Active deck. Each. And then we do. Is my C++ thing here? So add card. And we would need to pass in a card data asset reference. So I think our card template needs the same kind of reference here. So let's make a new U property. Anywhere, blueprint, I just read only. Category. Card information, card data, whatever. Now, type is uCard data asset. So we need to do special asset data. Then essentially what I need to do is pass that along when I add the card to the hand. So I need to, maybe I can make a duplicate function. So eventually I would need to make like a whole binder's worth of different types of cards, and then have like an IM GUI that lets you add whatever type of card you want to your hand, or automatically use it or something. Be something I need to make at some point down the line. I think once I make like 10 cards, I'll have to do something like that just to be on the safe side, try to future-proof some stuff. So data. So that. Now I should, in theory, be able to just nuke all that. Not nuke it, whatever the opposite of nuke is. But now I should be able to say new card, set card data, or do I just say so that should hopefully be enough. So let's compile and do it again. And yeah, we'll probably be wrapping up here in a couple minutes, 10-15 minutes. For those new to the stream, I only stream about an hour and a half, a couple days a week, if I'm lucky, and then maybe sometimes more. Maybe. All right, homie, you off to Rook? All right, man, take care. I appreciate you hanging out. Thanks for watching. Take care. Have a good Thursday. Just waiting for my cat to jump on. Go ahead, Boo-Boo. Alright. So yeah, we got current hand. Now instead of saying add card to hand, I should be able to add card to hand with data. then I should be able to go into my card template and let's see. Well, yeah, I'm not leaving just yet. 10 minutes more, and then we'll skaboo, huh? So let's go header. So text X, we're gonna say card resource value. Card name and card description. Okay, all this will be variables. I want to probably make a view model out of this. I'll have to see. But yeah, so when we construct, we need to start setting up some stuff. So I should have access to get card data. Do it as convert to validated get, of course, when you can. And then I think I have the name set text. Do I have a name title? Yo, are you writing the logic in C++? Some of it. Mostly try to do it in Blueprint. And then I convert to C++ later. Blueprints are just Visual C++, right? Yeah. More or less, you know, a little less, you have less access to some of the deeper level stuff, but for all intents and purposes, it's Visual C++, yeah. Should be able to evaluate. Oh, so no. Get data table row. Naturally, but I get that I could learn it. Been interested in Unreal lately. Thank you for the stream. Enjoy it. Oh, yeah, thank you, man. Thanks for popping in and saying hello, and thanks for your interest. I'll say it now, just so I don't forget. But let's see if my bot is here. Definitely check out our Discord. Still not super popular, nothing buffing off, but we try to share information and try to help each other where we can. So if you have Unreal questions, feel free to join if possible. Leave that like, leave that subscription, all good. You just noticed the cat there? Yes, this is Lola, aka Boo Boo. She's the best cat ever. So now I have to break this as card data. Yes, so I do have information, right? So I can set the name. I can set the description. And I think this could work. So right now in my deck manager, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 cards. Do I have 4 cards when I start? I do. But the card data is not being filled out. So I think by the time we get here, it's too late. We might need to make, so I want to at least get the cards working again here, so I think I need to make a Blueprint implementable event here. Well, we already have one, so instantiate card and data. We don't need to do anything like that, but then we need to card instantiate card data. So that should get us to where we want to be. Then yeah, after this, I'm jumping into Lives of P. See how far I can get tonight. I'm only gonna play for like 30 minutes to an hour. So much to do in a day, you know, so little time. So, moment of truth. To be expected. Hold on. To be expected. Moment of truth is not here yet. Instantiate data. But that's the event. So, event instantiate card data. Now is the moment of truth. There you go. Obviously, it's whatever. The text is fine. But now we have the cards that we had at one point. So in theory, it should be, now I can activate this fireball one. And now, okay, so that part didn't work yet. So yeah, we lost that functionality. But hold. Now do I have a helper function in my deck manager component? Activate card. I do. So I'll need to do something similar, right? So we do have a like select card thing. So I should be able to do this. So I do. I guess I could do it. Like, I feel like the card should be solely responsible for it, but we'll do it here. So we should be able to say get card data. Card. All right. Now for reals. So I'm going to activate Engulfed in Flames during dodge. And now, here we go. So now I'm engulfed in flames during the dodge. So now, when I overlap, I deal fire damage or apply burn, and then after 10 seconds, it no longer works. And then we have a damage modifier and apply. So card 2, I believe, is all things are critical, and then critical applies burn. So now when I deal damage, I do critical damage and I apply burn. Now my burn is applying critical, and then bam. So that's kind of the idea that I'm going for, like having all these cards that do something. And so I want the player, and hopefully it's a little more clear when we look at like the UI, right? So we have like these passive bars, so you can activate a certain number of passives through these cards as much as you can. You have this card resource that you gain over time, and as well as you perform in the game, you get more, and use that to play cards. And then you have these active ability bars, so you have your evasive ability, and then you have up to 5 ability slots. And so when you activate an ability card, it gets slotted here, and then you can activate it. But then there's going to be other types of cards where it can be more instant effects. So you can summon something, you can just cause an explosion around you. You can deter enemy debuffs and stuff like that. So there's a couple different ways that I want to do this. So yeah, the average game dev experience, like sometimes you kind of hit your head against the wall, find this kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm hoping the game is going to come out good. It really depends on the synergy of the cards, how well they play together, how interesting the enemies are, and how you can kind of build the deck over time. So fingers crossed. I think we left at a good spot here today. So that's where I'm going to end it. But we will raid First Crimson. If you're not familiar with First Crimson, he's great. Tell him I say hello. For everybody else, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to follow here on Twitch. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube. Make sure to join our Discord. And thank you all for watching. I very much appreciate it. Enjoy your rest of your night. Enjoy your Friday and your weekend. And see you soon.
Satisfactory was a lot easier to get into. Factorio was the only game I actually refunded because it just was not for me. It just wasn't for me. Jevin, thank you for the raid, by the way. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. So yeah, the idea here is that a truck company would come